What's up, y'all? It's your boy Slim 112 in the building. And hey, I just jumped off the porch with my fam, Dirty Glove Bastard.
I know you're lonely, Bobby Womack, babe. No retouch on the photos, babe. I rescued all your issues.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. We got the S, the L, the I, the M. We got Slim from 112 jumping off the porch with us today. What's up, bro?
Man. Blessed, be glad to be here.
Yes, sir, man. Happy to have you here, man. Appreciate you pulling up, jumping off the porch with us.
Already.
Yes, sir. So, man, Slim, 30 years you celebrating from the first 112 album.
Yep.
How does it feel to, be approaching this 30-year mark? And did you see yourself and even the music industry, being, what it is today?
Well, you know what? How does it feel? It feels amazing because I still remember how it was day one, like in New York, the first time I heard the single. You know what I'm saying? Actually walking through 42nd Street, then walking to the studio, and then Sherry Carter on, you know what I'm saying, BET announcing it the first time, you know what I'm saying, her and Donnie Simpson. And, did I see myself reaching 30 years? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's where we started out, like just sitting in the living room at Mike's grandma crib, and we used to sit there and watch all of our favorite artists from New Editions to Boyz II Men to Jodeci's, Mint Conditions, and it was just like, man, we want to be right there, you know what I mean? And now, here we are.
Yes, sir. Now that's what's up, man. And you were just talking about 42nd Street in New York. Being a kid from the South Side, from Cleveland Avenue, here in Atlanta, what was that like, uprooting and just suddenly moving to New York and living in Times Square, living in such a busy area up there?
Man, culturally, shocking. Because, like, anybody know about Cleveland Avenue, you really didn't see too much diversity. So, never really been too far outside of my community. First time got on that plane was the first time I got on a plane.
Wow.
And so, going there, it was warm in ATL. Going to New York, I just remember how cold it was, and I didn't even have a real suitcase. I had a plastic bag with all my stuff in it. Yeah. And I just looking around and seeing at the time the yellow taxis and the music and stuff. I could just tell something could be special.
Word. Now that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Now, if you could go back and tell a younger version of yourself something, give yourself some advice, what would it be?
Man, enjoy every second of it. Enjoy it, man. Take time to smell the flowers, because things go so fast. Like, man, I just remember finishing the album, and then not even a month later, we were on tour with the Isley Brothers. And we were learning so much. At the time we didn't have but one single, and we had to quickly grow up because you're opening up for the Isley Brothers, and we learned just how to be real musicians, how to be entertainers. We started learning cover records and what really entertains the people, you know what I mean? And, we just got really in depth in our craft.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so how was the group Forte? How was that group formed? We know it as 112, but you guys were first known as Forte.
Right, well, you know what? So Forte, that was before 112, y'all. It consisted of 5 people. One of the formers, it wasn't in the group. It was 2 other guys that were older, and one was my age, but when they had to leave, when they graduate, that was the rule, with our parents. You graduate, you're gonna have to do something. You're gonna go to college, you're gonna go to the armed forces, you're going somewhere, but you're getting out of this house. You know what I'm saying? So we were still in high school, and we were doing talent shows and stuff like that. And oh man, blessed to say we never lost a talent show. And a lot of the people that are superstars from Atlanta, they were part of the talent show. So it was just amazing, you know what I'm saying? And when I think of the foundation of 112, that's who I think of, Forte.
Word. And can you speak to the culture of even those talent shows back then? Because I think in Atlanta,
Yeah.
you know, from what I hear, I'm not from here, but from what I hear about those talent shows, like, you know what I mean, during that era, those shows were like concerts.
They were real concerts.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. So you have to go back, you have to know like the real Atlanta culture, like back in the early 90s where they had like the way you dressed. They had the dancing culture, it was the yeet. And you know, when you had like everybody went to the skating ring where they would break the records in the skating ring. And you know, those talent shows were a very integral part of our lives where you had all the sides. Everybody from the south side would had to go to the east side, then the west side, you go to the north side, and all of us had our schools, and we represented our sides and our communities just like that.
Yeah.
So the bigger you start winning, the community gets behind you, and then you actually start having a following. So it was a blessing that we started having a real following at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you know, that's like a lost, you know, thing of the time, because like nowadays it seems like you have to come into the game with clout and with, you know what I mean, like a buzz already, instead of, you know, back then people wanted to support, you know, the up and coming artists. Yes. and had respect for artists who was really doing their thing. Yes. And like you said, would follow y'all around the city and go and represent on any side of the city.
That's straight up. You know, it's like it's so good because it's like we're representing the unspoken. You know what I'm saying? So the cats that, you know, they maybe can't sing, or you can't dunk a ball, or you know what I'm saying, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they saw us in them, so it was like they were living their dreams through us, and we felt that. And we still, to this day, we still have that same pride.
Word. And so what was it like for you growing up on the south side of Atlanta? We hear so many people talk about, you know, the south side and it being so legendary, just in terms of, you know, a lot of the people that have, you know, come from that side. But what was it like for you? What was your experience like, you know?
It was cool, man. I wish we had like phones and, you know, like how everybody could just film. Because if you really could see how it actually felt, now I know outside looking in, people hear about Cleveland Avenue for obvious reasons. They'll be like, oh no, I ain't turned over there. And I get it, because that was a part of the culture too.
For sure.
You know, like what's going on right now, that's not something that just started. That's been going on for a long time. I'm an OG. That's been going on for a long time, probably before me. So, but that being said, it was a tight-knit community. You can go from one street to the next. You knew exactly who that mother was, who ran that corner store. Mike's dad was he was the most popular barbershop there. If you was popping, if you cut your hair, we called him Skeet. He was known for cutting hair, and he could play ball all day long. So you know what I'm saying. So it was just stuff like that. It was just a knitted community that everybody supported each other.
Word. And you grew up in the church, right?
Yeah, I grew up. Yep.
You know, I say that nowadays, I feel like some of the music that doesn't have as much standing power or lasting power, I feel like a lot of newer artists have kind of lost that foundation of what the church gives you. And maybe not even speaking of it from a religious standpoint, but just, you know, just the foundation that is given to you from, you know, being in church, singing in the choir, or maybe playing instruments, you know, things like that.
And that's facts. You know, the church was our cutting ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you hit on a nail on the head there. Like, it's not just religion. It's like being in the right place, belonging to something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? With a purpose. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, in the church, everybody encourages. So you might not be the best singer. You might not be, you know, just the most consistent person. But you always had like OGs and people that had your best interest in heart leading you in the right direction. So that's what we had.
No, for sure. And you played the cello, right?
I played the cello. I was first chair from 3rd grade to You know what I'm saying? So that was a blessing. That was a blessing in itself. Like before I start singing, well, I was more comfortable with the cello.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like the cello was my way, and I was really, really good. And then I would sing my notes. So a lot of times I used to get in trouble because I wasn't really reading the music.
Okay, yeah.
I was, but I could sing it, but people didn't know I could sing, and I would sing the notes and play the cello at the same time. So.
Word. And at what point did you know that you wanted to go from playing the cello, being, you know, mainly playing an instrument, to wanting to use your voice and you know, be a singer?
You know what's crazy? I didn't have a plan. You know, I think my big mouth in a particular class, and Mike heard me say, hey man, I can sing better than him. You know what I'm saying? And Mike looked back and said, oh really? You know, well, we'll see. And I couldn't get out of it. And then, you know what I'm saying, like then it was the infamous, you know, with me actually performing, you know what I'm saying, actually having to sing in front of everybody. And that's when everybody, you know, they were like, oh my God, he can sing? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's when everything changed. But I was comfortable with the cello.
Word. And did you always have this distinct voice, this distinct tone when you sang? That was always something?
So that's why I always give Mike that credit there, because I don't have the most traditional voice, and I understand. But you know what I'm saying? It took somebody that did have a traditional voice, and he was known for, he was always an all-state, you know what I'm saying? He always had a grown-up voice since 12, 13 years old, you know what I'm saying? So for him to have a traditional voice and understand what that could be, and then say, you know what, we're gonna make this work.
Yeah.
I give him all credits for that, you know what I'm saying?
Word. And at what point would you say you jumped off the porch?
Jumped off the porch, probably then. You know what I'm saying? Like I jumped off the porch when I said, I can sing better than him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what I would say. That's really jump off the porch.
No, I can dig it. I can dig it.
Yeah.
And before we get more into the story, I want to definitely talk about this new single that you pushing, Somebody to Love.
Yes, man. Yeah. Everybody needs somebody to love. So, man, I was looking for this new sound. I was looking for a sound. I just wanted to just kind of get back into the music, because I had so much stuff going on. And, you know, so I had a lot of, just reading my comments and stuff, everybody was like, where you at, Slim? You know, we ain't heard from you. So fly, you know. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started putting out little music. I tossed out a record called Gotta Have Faith. It was just me, Eric Bellinger, and Faith Evans. Mm-hmm. And then I got this overwhelming response. 9 platforms on digital stuff. I'm like, whoa, what does this mean? So, you know, between my sons and, you know, and my artists, NR, they were basically telling me like, hey, that's really good, man. You might wanna, you know. So I started coming on, so I said, you know what? Let me just find a sound. So I ended up going to Denver. Dirk Pate was always sending me music. Now, Dirk Pate is a writer. He's responsible for, before we get started, with Tank. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And called him up and said, hey man, let's just vibe. Let's see what go down. So went out there, did a few records. This record stood out. I said, man, because the DJs then told me, don't put out no slow music, Slim. You know what I'm saying? So I dropped the up-tempo, and now I'm getting traction without even not even trying. Yeah. This is really, really good. So I guess I'm going in the right direction, but it was spiritually and mentally and physically encouraging.
Word. And I gotta ask you, you know, you yourself and then also the group, you know, you guys are definitely respected as balladeers. And I know like when, you know, Tim and Bob even discovered you guys, I mean, that was the mode that you guys were singing in. But then, you know, you get signed to Bad Boy, and you guys are doing like these up-tempo songs.
Right.
And even now, you know, the new single, the Somebody to Love, is more of an up-tempo, yes, you know, type of vibe. How did you know how did you know to step into that sound of the more up-tempo sound and not stick to ballads?
Because I think everybody was doing ballads. I just think that was the norm. At the time in the 90s, you could hear a ballad at 12 o'clock noon on the radio. You know You know what I'm saying? And there was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So we wanted to stand out. We wanted to differentiate ourselves from other groups. So, you know, we came up to New York. You start hearing the whole East Coast vibe, right? I was like, I'm messing, okay. I'm feeling that, all right. So I ain't gonna front. Diddy's a genius on that.
Yeah.
He started putting us in the room with the DJ, you know what I'm saying, with producers and stuff like that. And it was beats from the 80s, you know what I'm saying? And we started rocking with it, and we, you know, we were already writers. He knew it. And then we're self-contained because, you know what I'm saying, one of the formers was, he's a producer.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying, so, you know, if we didn't wait for anybody, we do our own stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it was good to just get into it, and before you know it, it hit.
Word. And when you guys open to doing the new style of music, like, or not new style, but just being
well, it was
new
different
style
from, right, it
from
was
what you guys
for
were doing?
us, you know what I'm saying? And we took on the challenge.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, so everybody had their time of catching on. So if you notice, I probably led a lot of those songs, you know what I'm saying, up tempos or whatever, where I found it first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was easy to say, okay, well, we like these records. At the same time, you had a plethora of groups out here. Man, well, we don't want to sound like Boyz II Men, you know what I'm saying? We can't sound like Jodeci. I mean, hell, Diddy created Jodeci, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we want to be the best 112, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it was about. And first record, double platinum, and it kept running.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Nah, for sure. Because I talk about this because most people who sing ballads, it's, you know, you want to show like your vocal range and that you can hold a note and that it's not just melody. So that's why I asked, was it different?
But you know, it's a certain craft of even doing up tempos. That's why people overdo it or they underdo it and they miss the mark.
Yeah.
If you notice with 112, we never missed them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we always said that, you know, the up tempos were songs that we're known for, and then the ballads were like the songs that we're loved for.
Nah, for sure. Because even like when I think of the song Cupid and like the one part that everybody knows or that everybody give it a try, you know what I mean? Like how like that part of it is something that like everybody remembers. Excuse my voice.
No, I'm with you. And you know what I'm saying? I get you, like, and so for myself, I use my voice as an instrument. So if I say it a certain kind of a way, I don't believe in just doing a whole bunch of runs and stuff like that. Because to me, that's just wasted time.
Yeah.
I want to put actual words where everybody can relate to it. If I say it a certain kind of a way, everybody's going to say it the same way. Look at all of the greats, the Isley brothers, you know what I'm saying? El DeBarge, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Raphael Sadiq. These wild voices, T-Bars, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she's not gonna do a bunch of runs. Everything she says, everybody's gonna sing it word for word, though.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Is it true that you went to technical school to learn how to fly airplanes with Killer Mike?
Well, what is wild is, me and Killer Mike knew each other before technical school. It was high school.
Okay.
So he was, you know what I'm saying? He was on the west side over there. He went to Doug High. I was going to George High at the time.
Yeah.
So, yes, there was a program that we had, and you know what I mean, what's crazy about it is, everybody knew me as being a very, like I was very good with like my grades, you know what I'm saying? And for the first time, I met somebody that was smarter. But he was hood.
Yeah.
But he was smart as all get out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was Killer Mike. And both of us, you know what I'm saying, we made it out of everybody else, and we probably got the scholarships and whatever, but we actually was flying single and double engine Cessna planes, you know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
So would you ever pursue like getting your pilot's license? Like, is that something that you ever thought about?
Sometimes I have the itches, but you know, I have loved ones that won't let me do it.
No, that's real. No, that's dope though, man.
Yeah.
So, do you recall the first song when you guys went to New York? Like the first song that you guys recorded with Bad Boy?
Man, we started with we were trying to find our sound. So I never forget. We were always around, you know what I'm saying, Stevie J, and big shout out to Dave Hollister. At the time, Dave Hollister, you know what I'm saying, he was with Black Street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? He was writing. You know, people, I don't know if people knew that he was, he's a crazy writer. So, you know what I'm saying? So we were writing with him and also Al B. Sure.
Okay.
So we were recording records, we were trying to find that sound. So the records were sounding good, but it wasn't us. Like, it wasn't what we wanted. So what was crazy was those records, like now, we would have put them out, everybody would be like, oh my God. But see, everybody knows who 112 is now, right? But at the time, we didn't want to come off like this because we felt like that sound was already there. So the song started making sense as we start going on and start getting with the producers.
Yeah. And your song, Only You, I remember that music video, like in Times Square.
Crazy.
Crazy visual.
Crazy.
What was it like working with Biggie and with Mace? And that song actually introduced Mace to the world.
We introduced Mace.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So it was wild because when we did the song, we wrote that song 5 times, right? We wrote the song 5 times. We kept, I don't want to say second guessing it, but it was just like, sometimes like when something comes so fast, because we wrote that song so fast, where it was just like, okay, everybody picked the song like part, and whatever you saw them sing, they wrote it. You know what I'm saying? And I wrote my part, I need you in my life, where do I go? You know what I'm saying? Everybody was just like, and then we all came to the hook. You know what I'm saying? Mike did the second verse, you know. So it was just like, it was a great moment. But then to go back out and be outside in New York, and for them to embrace us as if we were really from New York, like people from New York are still finding out that we're actually from Atlanta, Georgia, not from New York. So it's kind of wild.
Word. And what was it like working with Biggie? Because he showed you guys so much love.
So much love. Big shout out to Biggie, Junior Mafia, Faith. When we first moved there, they were the first ones to really just take us in. We would hang out with them all the time. When Biggie was doing his promo for his Ready to Die album, we were with them.
Oh, wow.
So Faith had one Lexus Cruiser. You know what I'm saying? Big would have his Lexus Cruiser. It would be 2 and 2. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we would always kick it with them, and we would ride from like the easier places to go to. Philly's an hour away from New York City. You can go to Connecticut, you know what I'm saying? We wouldn't go to places too far, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we would kick it with him. He always dropped real knowledge to us, you know what I'm saying? Like, so much respect between each other.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Room 112, where the players dwell.
Yeah, man.
You know?
He said it a bunch of times.
He said it a bunch
Room
of times.
112 was shaking, you know. My 112 CD blast, I was passing.
Yeah. Yeah, nah, man. I mean, Biggie always made sure to pay you guys homage. And
he had a lot of
to show
respect
love.
for us. If you would have asked him who was the best group or whatever, he would have told you without a doubt, Voice 112,
Yeah.
you know, because he's seen us, what we done. He would see us take songs from the rip, create the records, make it sound from beginning to end, you know. And a lot of people, you know, unlike other artists, we were presenting records to the label. So, you know what I'm saying? So him seeing that, he was like, oh, these boys special.
Yeah. Do you remember like any advice, any game that he shared with you, or just some good times that you had with
Good
Big?
Lord, yes. Like a lot of them. And, you know, but it's one I never forget. We were in Philly, and he was about to walk out on the stage. So y'all have to just see this. Like, so at the time I'm about 120 pounds soaking wet. You know what I'm saying? Biggie's like 6'4" or 400 pounds. I'll say 6'6". He was a big man, like 6'4", 6'5". And he stands up and he's about to walk out on the stage. He turns around, look at me and say, hey, you control the crowd. Never let the crowd control you. Now I'm looking off to the side because I'm like, okay, you're like, you hear me, Slim? yeah, I heard you. And then he was like, and then here we go. Now the curtains will open up, and he'll walk out there, and the crowd just be going crazy. And that track, the warning beat was going. He's going crazy. The crowd would just. I mean, I wish I could just bring people to the '90s.
Yeah.
That energy, how it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Nah, for sure, for sure. I mean, Big was, man,
The
for
man.
real, one of the greatest.
Yes.
And yeah, man, that's what's up. So what was your experience like being on Bad Boy during that time? I mean, because there was just so much energy around the label.
Yeah.
So many new artists like yourselves,
Yeah.
you know, being put out there. What was that energy like in the studio?
You know what's crazy? So iron sharpens iron, right? So Faith would allow us to come into her studio sessions and actually write along with her. She didn't need us there, but I guess she saw the talent and, you know what I'm saying, our potential. So she will always bring us. So with her, we saw a whole bunch of stuff, like, you know, you get a chance to see everybody else working in their studio sessions, right? And man, it was just like, the one great thing about Bad Boy was we were always piggy off each other. So if you notice, before we came out, Faith came out before us, but we were on Faith's album a few times, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it was just like, we would get on their stuff, and then, you know, then you see Total. You see these cool girls, you know what I'm saying? They always dressed, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, they shoe game was better than mine. Man, you know, and they were always cool, and their tracks was like, I was like, man, I gotta get down on that, you know what I'm saying? And I never forget, get a chance to write, you know what I'm saying, baby, I can't figure it out, your kisses. So, Pharrell was there, you know what I'm saying? A young Pharrell, you know what I'm saying? He just did the beat, and he was like, oh, cool, you know what I'm saying? It was just, like, you never knew, we didn't know that whole era was about to be this whole era, this whole thing, but we all had this one common goal, just to be number one. Mm-hmm. So that's what it was about.
Word, man, that's what's up. I see so many comments, you know, where, you know, people just have so much love, you know, for you guys as a group.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a lot of, I feel like from the fans, a lot of heartache, a lot of heartbreak, you know, when you guys broke up. I know you broke up, came back together for a stint,
Yeah.
and then, you know, made it I guess a permanent thing.
Yeah.
Could we ever see like the four of you guys, you know, come back together and do something? Or is that ship sailed?
And you know, I'm gonna tell you like this, like, I understand them. Nobody more heartbroken than me. See, I moved back to Atlanta to make sure that happened. So the second time, but you know, and I also had to feel, man, when the deals broke up, man, and Babyface, I was like, when Lionel Richie left the Commodores, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my God, right? But I always looked at things like this, like you never take errors for granted. When it's in front of you right there, that time right there, remember I told you the older me would tell the younger me, just smell the flowers when they're there. Because let me tell you, with time comes change.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, everything was one way when we were kids. We were kids. We started as kids, you know what I'm saying? And when you grow up, people start feeling a different way. You start having different entourages, you know, and that's okay with change. Well, Mike and I, we decided to say, you know, we said, look, we started off this way. We started, you know, this with Forte. You know what I'm saying? Certain people weren't there. So their feel what might have not been that way. But with me and him, which is also, y'all got to know, he's my real blood cousin. We saw it as, we started 112, you don't finish it unless we get the star on the Walk of Fame and the induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. anything else is a failure, and we've never failed or even lost at anything, which kind of reminds me of this.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. I know you went solo, released a single "So Fly"
Yeah, man.
years ago. I was
Crazy.
actually working at Warner Brothers when you had signed to Asylum.
Yep.
And right before I left to go work at Def Jam, I remembered I like worked the "So Fly" record just for a
Yes.
little bit on the digital marketing side, but Asylum was like really behind you and really pushing you at the time.
Yeah, man.
Was it difficult for you to make the decision to come back and you and Mike continue to, push the 112 name and not just remain solo?
Well, I actually did not want to be solo. I had to pay bills. I would keep it real with y'all. Hey, I had to pay bills. I was on the delusional side. I thought it was 112 forever, but there were cats that wanted to do their own thing. But one thing about being in a group is that when you make a decision, you also affect the other person's life
Yeah.
too. So once I figured out that, that wasn't happening, I said, okay, well, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it my way. Then I think everybody was like, oh man, well Slim, we always wanted to sign you. And I had all kind of offers, wild offers, but I wanted to do it my way. Shout out to Shakir Stewart, rest in peace. He saw my vision, you know what I'm saying? He said, hey, I'm going to speak for you. Like, I'm going to make sure it gets there. So with him, introduced me to Sycamore.
Okay.
Sycamore brought the situation in, and you know what I'm saying, and brought the whole situation in front of Joey and Todd. And from there, it was absolutely amazing, man. Now, I was out there in Bell Harbor, you know what I'm saying, drop top 458s, you know what I'm saying, on the beach, right?
Yeah.
And I get these calls, and they were saying, we need to put the group back together. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? There was a chip sort of on my shoulder like unfinished business, right? So even though a lot of people, I'm not gonna call names, I'll wait till, you know what I'm saying, the movie. But, you know what I'm saying? They were like, what are you doing? Would they do that for you? Look how you're living. This is not a hobby, this is a job, and you got to the promised land. But then my promised land was the star on the Walk of Fame and, you know what I'm saying, induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I was willing to take that risk. And there were a lot of promises, and you know what I'm saying? Obviously they didn't keep the promises, but there was a great thing that happened out of that situation. Once with me, once somebody says 112 forever, once somebody says I'm gonna stand 10 toes in something, I never cheated, I never quit it. I ride it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And that's what y'all see. So it doesn't matter what, I get it, when everybody's, feeling away, well, I'm not big as Biggie, so I can't throw nobody out. If anybody left, they left on their own. A person now, they've retired, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Let's respect all of that. But then let's respect the guys that actually want to still bring 112 to you all in a premier stage, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's up.
For sure. How difficult is it for you, to do, or what would you say was one of the most challenging parts of being a solo artist versus being in a group?
Having a group mentality and writing records as a group instead of a solo artist. And so creatively at the beginning, it was hard. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to get the cadence of a solo artist and could not do it. So big shout out to my boys Playing Skills.
Okay.
And then my homies are Odds and Ends. You know what I'm saying? You go down to Florida. If it wasn't for Playing Skills, I wouldn't be doing music.
Wow.
I went down to Orlando, ran into Odds and Ends, and Ricky Padilla, he put me to them. You know what I'm saying? And we just got in the studio and just started working, start trying to find it, trying to find that sound. And then all of a sudden, man, what was it? Nick, they played the beat, and I was like, something special about that beat. And we just did it, and it was fast. So, you know what I'm saying? So, just thank God for that moment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, for sure, for sure. You guys have a song that I feel like is like one of the most played at proms, weddings, with Cupid. Do you remember how that song came about?
Yes. Well, so everybody has their certain energy, you know what I'm saying, of the song. With me, I was going through a situation where, you know, when you're doing something nice for somebody and, you know what I'm saying, they take it as, what you doing? You know? And so that's where the energy had kind of came from or whatever. We all got together. The beat originally came from, it started with Arnold Hennings.
Okay.
He had a beat, but it sounded totally different. It had a lot of sounds to it. Basically, Duran took all the sounds off and left the and then he started playing the melodies of Cupid. You know what I'm saying? And that started drawing a whole new energy. Now, just imagine that with that feeling of what I got going on in my brain. You know what I'm saying? So it just like everybody came together and pretty much made it what it was. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy.
And I've heard you say that like Cupid actually isn't like the love song.
It's not the love song.
Like,
listen what it says. You know, and I know I'm singing it away, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but if I say, girl, if I told you I love you, that doesn't mean that I don't care. And if I tell you I need you, don't you think that I'll never be there? Baby, I'm so sick and tired of the way you turn my words into deception and lies. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just trying to speak my mind. I'm only saying what's in my heart. Cupid don't lie, but you won't know unless you give it a try. And they're like, Cupid, true love won't lie, but you won't know unless you give it a try.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like a situation like, it's not an argument, but it's more like sometimes a significant other has to be encouraged and, you know what I'm saying, just let it be known like, hey, look, this is where we stand, and I'm for all that.
Word. Like I said, that song is like most played at proms, weddings.
It's an amazing record. It's an amazing record. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely been a lot of babies made to y'all music.
Hey, man. I'm not responsible for child support.
No, that's funny. What about Dance For Me?
Yes.
How'd that come about?
So Dance With Me, oh man. So big shout out to Pooh Bear. We were in St. Louis. On tour. I think we were on tour with, you know, maybe Whitney Houston.
Okay.
We were opening up for Whitney Houston, and I think Pooh Bear had to make a decision whether because he was still at Tri-Cities High School, but we had him a long time before then, so he was like very young when he started working with us and writing. And we were on tour, we had him, and I never forget, he said, hey Slim, hey, come to the back. So the guy, dude, you know, who did the beat, you know what I'm saying, already had the beat in play. So I don't know what was the, you know, whatever, but Pooh Bear starts saying the melodies of the verse. And you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden he backs up and then say, I can see you over there just. And I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah. This gonna feel real good. This gonna feel real good. And then from there, we built off of that. You know what I'm saying? So, big shout out to Pooh Bear.
And I know you mentioned earlier, you know, and I've seen in other interviews you talk about like you more having a sort of a shy or introverted type of personality. Yeah. But how did you end up being like the lead vocalist of the group, but having, you know, more of a, I don't want to say behind the scenes type of personality, but, you know, more of a laid back, you know, kind of personality versus who you'd expect to be a lead singer of
Right, exactly. 'Cause I did not want to be a lead singer. Like it was just crazy how it was. It was just like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make the group better. And that's just my mentality of a situation. like we, us, and our type situation. So basically, you know, trying to figure out how to differentiate ourselves away from all these plethora of groups that was out in the 90s. And Puff said, hey, the answer is right here. The X factor is right here. Yes, everybody can sing, everybody can hold their own, right? But you have one person that nobody sounds like. You build off around that, not saying that everybody, because if you listen to 112 albums, you can hear every person holding their own. You know what I'm saying? I think that we're probably one of the only groups that every person has sung a solo.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, but just with my voice, for some reason, it was easy for everybody said locked in onto it. If you look at Only You, man, I sung the beat verse. I didn't have no verses, but because my voice, everybody, it's like the whole world just said, and radio said, that voice. So once that happened again, you know, then here come See Me. Come See Me, boom, there goes top 10, boom. Then here we go, Cupid, boom, #1. You know what I'm saying? And that's a worldwide record. So that's why I said, and that was a third single, by the way, that made the album go triple platinum or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, my real, just me off you know what I'm saying, off of a stage or whatever, I'm a very shy and laid back person. I was never popular. You know what I'm saying? I was the person in the back who probably had the books, you know what I'm saying? Or like I said, my cello, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know how that wasn't like so the coolest thing, you know what I'm saying, in my school.
Yeah.
So I was cool with that. I'm comfortable in my skin. But hey, 112 sold 40 million records, so I must have did something right.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And you were giving, you know, Diddy props for, you know, changing your life and you know, signing you guys early on and even having the vision, you know, that he did for the group. Seeing, you know, what he's going through right now, you know, what were some thoughts that, you know, came to your mind just seeing like all of these charges and allegations and different things that he's been dealing with currently?
Very unfortunate because, you know, when we were around him, that wasn't what I experienced at all. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I guess, you know, big shout out to Bear and Greg Brown and, you know what I'm saying, the people that was around us, you know what I'm saying, making sure that, you know, our focus was first and foremost in the studio. We had a common goal, and you know, we wanted to make sure that 112, no matter what the circumstances or whatever happening, you know what I'm saying, that we wanted our brand to be #1 in our genre. You know what I'm saying? And wherever that took us, we crossed over, then that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, I'm less off of Puff now. He's already has his judgment, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I think we should be more abreast with the laws, the things that's going on, and let's not. And there's a lot of that going on this generation where we desensitize things that should be paid attention to.
Yeah, sure.
So when you have, like, back in the day, you know what I'm saying, it used to be cool, you know what I'm saying, hey, I'm gonna fly this girl out, you know what I'm saying, train, plane, automobile, right?
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying, at that time, you know what I'm saying, it used to be like innocent fun. You know what I'm saying, like that's what it felt like. Well, yesterday and today is two different things. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And we need to educate ourselves and everybody that we care about on the laws and just everything that we can, the do's and don'ts, what you can do and we can't do. You know what I'm saying? And so certain things that we might find innocent, it was cool back then, ain't that way now. You know what I'm saying? It can be, it might hit on something you don't want. You know what I'm saying? What is the Mann Act? The Mann Act was derived in 1910 from a black boxer named Jack Johnson when he dated, you know what I'm saying, a white woman. And in the law, they used the word interracial. Everybody, let's be smart. Let's know exactly what's going on with these laws. Or, you know, everybody does a lot of judgment on everybody that's in front of the cameras because it's easy to point and it's easy to pick. But that can be you if you don't know.
Yeah, nah, absolutely. Could be detrimental to you, for sure. You're a huge advocate for mental health.
Yes.
Can you talk about when you first came in tune with your own mental health, and why is it so important for you to advocate about it and make sure that, you know, young men understand their mental health and what they're going through and things like that?
I lost my sister at the age when she was 11. I was 12. And one of the things that was missing was the fact that, you know, when you're a kid, you have all this stuff in your head, right? You don't know. Like, you see a kid, you don't know what's going on. And they might have a lot of stuff going on. And in that case, because of how we were raised, we had in Cleveland Avenue, you know what I'm saying? It's not the most, you know, silver spoonish type situation.
Right.
So that being said, you know, there were some things that were ignored. You know what I'm saying? And I wished, I still play it like I wish that I could, I could have listened.
Right.
Like, or I knew to listen. You know what I'm saying? So I take that energy and what I know, I learned from the past. And, you know, I like to, you know, just start with the youth and just say, hey, look, I hear you, I see you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's your ambitions? Who are you? Hey, see yourself as the boss you want to be, because time goes by just like that. Yeah. And, you know, so mental health, it starts there. You know what I'm saying? Who you are as a person starts here, and then it's displayed. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, I've done all kinds of stuff where I work in the community. I've invested in clinics, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, that kind of touches, even though now it's kind of diverting because of what the government is going on and they're chopping off certain programs. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's where I am as far as the mental health is concerned. Very, very prevalent with me. And you know what I'm saying, and I see a lot of people too. So you know what I'm saying, like, shout out to everybody who's recognizing it.
No, for sure. Because, you know, back when we were younger, I mean, it's like mental health wasn't even a word.
Right.
And then for men or for boys, it's, you know, like, hey, don't cry.
Don't cry.
Yeah, you acting
you
like
know,
a girl.
You act like, yeah, hey, suck it up.
Yeah.
You know, shut up because I said so.
Right.
You know?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Not what I do. Exactly.
Yeah, all of that.
You know what I'm saying?
And so a lot of us, or a lot of people just in general, don't even understand like their triggers to make them, you know, feel these certain emotions that they feel. And so even from that, you don't even know how to handle these different emotions, you know? So a lot of times we just handle emotions with anger.
Facts.
You know, which is why it's so important, you know, to be tapped into it and to, you know, help other people to understand it. I mean, there's a huge stigma about, you know, therapy, you know, all types of things like that. So
yeah, they make fun of it until you need it yourself. You know what I'm saying?
For real. or somebody crash out and they be like,
then it's, oh man, crazy. What? And well, guess what? If they had some other way, you know, maybe it wouldn't have happened that way.
No, for sure. Slim, what would you say is one of the biggest life lessons that you've learned?
Well, I would probably say that, you know, when I was younger, you know, I was rather naive. You know what I'm saying? Like when a person say I love you, I used to think that they just really love me. If they said family, I would take that as such. But as I started getting older, I started noticing, like, you know, it's, you know what I'm saying, it's about what you do, it's not what you say. You know what I mean? And I judge a person by their actions.
Yeah.
And you know, I give a lot of grace now. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you're younger, you know, you're hothead. But now I give a lot of grace, you know, because I just think, you know, you want everybody to be like God. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I know you know, we're created in His image, but we're not perfect, and I understand that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah, for sure. Also, I meant to ask you earlier, you know, growing up in the church and you know, singing in the choir, playing the instruments, were your parents, were your family supportive of you doing secular music, you know, when you decided to, you know, pursue your career and things like that?
No. I had to prove this. Okay, like, I had to really show that I was very serious. I remember one time, me and my mom just got into it. My mom's evangelist, all right?
Okay. Oh, really?
So she was like, you can't serve two masters, and you're not gonna you're not gonna embarrass me while I'm going from church to church, and I'm this way. I raised you this way, you know what I mean? And she will always say, you know, always remember that even the devil used to be in heaven, and guess what he was? He was the minister of music. And I would look back at my mom and say, I understand, but I'm not Lucifer. And check this out, Mom. If I live my life a certain way, my pulpit would be bigger than any pulpit you'll ever be in. So I always live by that type of a situation, you know what I'm saying? And not saying that I'm perfect, because I'm far from it, but I have principles and I have codes and morals that I stand on, and that's just what it is.
I can dig it. What else you working on right now that you're excited about that you got coming up?
Oh man, so much stuff. Okay, where can I start? Okay, South Fulton, on the South Fulton neighborhood. I've been an advocate, you know what I'm saying, over there at Welcome All Park for over 20 years. So me and Greg Brownie, we have a charity. I finally have a charity, 1K, and we're bringing Welcome All, the sports recreation, back to Welcome All. Now, anybody knows about Welcome All, you know what I'm saying? We've been ranking in the nation for a long time. And y'all see Cam Newton, you know what I'm saying? He's a product of it. Like, and we have a whole bunch of stars, you know what I'm saying, from there. Proud of that. Also in Henry County, my cousin, which is Sheriff Reginald Scandrett, you know, doing huge things in the community. With law enforcement, it's riddled in my family. But one thing what makes Sheriff Scandrett so special is that he wants the community to see more than just a badge and a gun. You know what I'm saying? And these are actually men and women that actually care about their community, and they want to be. Remember when we were young and we had Officer Friendly?
Yeah.
It feels just like that. So Sheriff brings you. We got Shaq. You know what I'm saying? We got so many people in the community. We just did something with Roddy White, Julio Jones. We had somebody else. Man, DC Young Fly came out there. Roscoe Dash. It was like so many people. Man, big shout out to all the pastors in the communities, like all the, you know, all the churches. We out there, we really, really like, we just want to just impact the community in a positive way. Also, me and Greg, we have Airbnbs. We had invested in a lot of properties out there in Hampton, city of Hampton, Georgia. And that's near the racetrack or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So they have like a nice historical houses and stuff like that into that right there. Yeah. So thinking about doing something, might pitch it to HTV. Man, what else? I got so much stuff going on. I mean, everybody, I almost forgot. 112, we're bringing Room 112 to the world.
Okay.
We're headlining our first world tour.
Okay.
And we're bringing our family total and case with us. You know what I'm saying?
Right, okay.
So this is going to be an amazing package right here. Y'all get ready. It's going to start November 15th. It's going to go all the way into February. this is about to be an amazing event because we're gonna tell a story. So it's not gonna be like any concert you've ever seen. So understand that. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so all my true 112 fans, if you're curious of what's going on, we're gonna open our catalog.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's the one thing we feel like, that makes us very special. And yes, Total and Case will be there. And big shout out to Live Nation for believing in us, letting us prove ourselves through our Poll Star numbers. And they watched us for 3 years. We shot it up and they said, you know what? Y'all got it. Let's go.
What's up. That's what's up. New album on the way or what?
We're working on a whole bunch of other stuff there too. So I'm working on my project. So everybody knows about Somebody to Love and Gotta Have Faith. Expect the unexpected. Me and Mike, you know what I'm saying? We might get back in there and do another EP. You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna do a lot of things. We're gonna smell the flowers, man. We're gonna enjoy everything. Like, so just know we're gonna do a lot of things. We're gonna be in front of the camera. We're outside, man. Yeah. I know y'all see me outside, but we're outside. And we're just enjoying it. I just wanna thank everybody for supporting us. Because the brand, we come from humble beginnings, you know what I'm saying? And when nobody believed, we did, and now we have the whole world believing with us, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. No matter how we package ourselves.
Yes, sir. And you got any shout outs you want to give?
Oh man, well I just want to just shout out y'all and just my whole team. Oh my goodness, I have my I got my angels too on the digital side. You know what I mean? I got Shahara, I got K, I got Ariel, I got T. You know what I'm saying? I call them, that's my angels. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my queens, and they run everything from my public PR to my social media because I suck at that. What else I missing? Oh yeah, brand management, and and I definitely have the my project manager, and Roland, Greg, Abraham, Lucky, Stormy. Oh man, I charge my head, not my heart if I'm missing people. You know what I'm saying? Agent, everybody that's believing. Ant, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
Yes, man, that's what's up, bro. And on the mental health tip, can you leave us with like a couple of things that you do to just keep your vibrations high?
Yes, I mean, hey, in all things, trust in God.
That's what's up. Slim from 112, appreciate you pulling up, jumping off the porch with us, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Love
sir.
jumping off the porch. Let's go.
That.
I know you're lonely, Bobby Womack, babe. No retouch on the photos, babe. I rescue.